Boys and young men in today's social climate are suffering. I don't think the current social climate that we live under right now, this very secularized world that we're living in right now, strips dignity away from women, in that it teaches women to commodify their bodies for whatever gain they can get, which is big in our climate right now in this country. I also think that boys and young men are feeling the effects of this current climate that we're in right now. We've spent the last decade or so within the feminist movement, gender movement, identity politics, trying to decide what is a man, what is not, going back and forth between what it should be, and then finally we've sort of resolved to hating it all together. That's not really a solution. It's become very trendy to see boys and men as dispensable, useless by and large, just innately oppressors and everything in between. And I feel that we've gotten to this point where boys and young men who hear these things are being made to believe that manhood is something that they should be ashamed of, or their identity is something that they should be ashamed of, that their very existence is bad. And it's ironic because I think in doing this, in creating this culture of hating men and hating manhood and hating masculinity, we have not actually solved the issue of men who abuse their natural power. We've actually stripped away from boys who could learn to use their natural power constructively, their identity, their sense of being. And the result is that we now have all of these young boys between the ages of, 15 to maybe 25, who are wandering around aimless, purposeless, don't really know where they fit in society, because everywhere they're being told from every angle, men this, men that, we hate men, blah 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 blah. And the result is just these boys who have no outlet. I think boys deeply desire and need structure and order and discipline, and they look for that, and they thrive in that environment. And when we teach boys that they should be ashamed of being boys and of growing up to become men, it leaves them in the dark. And so we set out to sort of tell boys and men that this is their purpose and this is what they ought to be doing. And now we've ended with boys not really knowing what they should be doing. They're just kind of sitting around waiting for something to happen. And as a result, they're turning to the streets. They're turning to some form of activity, something that's going to get them moving, because again, boys thrive under those types of environments where they are given responsibility and very high expectations, and some sort of physical outlet, which is why I'm a firm believer that we should bring back military style boot camps. But in our attempt to define for boys and men what masculinity, constructive masculinity, looks like, we have left them with no definition whatsoever at all. Being made to feel like being a man, being a boy, being masculine at all is bad. I think this is part of the reason why we have seen military enlistment dropping so significantly, and we've seen a rise in very effeminate men all over the country and possibly in other parts of the world. I think the feminist movement, especially the fourth wave that we're under right now, had a very noble cause in its beginnings, trying to help men direct their innate power constructively in a way that isn't destructive and in a way that doesn't abuse. And I think that's a noble cause and that's necessary. But I think along the way we gave too much credence to hate, and it has resulted in no actual efforts being made at all. No advancements, no improvements, stagnation is what we're looking at. Boys in stasis. Call me old-fashioned, but military enlistment, military style boot camps that are actually like they used to be, so hard, difficult, complex, complicated, difficult for these boys, really challenging as they used to be, that needs to make a comeback. I know that's probably antiquated and out of date, but I think it's so necessary that boys have these types of outlets. I don't think that it's constructive for whatever our cause is within the feminist movement, for masculinity to teach boys that no masculinity is probably what's best. That's not constructive. That's not helping. Discipline, order, structure, these are environments that boys and young men thrive in, and that I think that they need in order to actually define and have a clear definition of what constructive masculinity looks like. Gender politics, identity politics, these things have done very little in the way of helping boys and young men figure out what constructive masculinity looks like. It's become overrun with pessimism towards masculinity, so much so that there's no real solutions being made for these boys and real programs being made for these boys to sort of create this kind of character that I think initially we were pushing with these conversations about masculinity and what it looks like, and what it looks like when it meets feminine qualities like love and honesty. Young male aggression is growing in this country, and I think that is because these boys have nowhere to put this power that they have inside of their bodies, this masculine sort of energy power that they have inside of their bodies. They have nowhere to put it, and it's festering and it's boiling out of them in a way that is aggressive. They have no idea how to hone it, where to turn it, how to control it. They're not being taught that, and that is so imperative to their development. They have to be given these spaces to learn that, and not be made to feel like having this quality about them is destructive. It's only destructive when you don't give them an outlet to do anything with it. Military style boot camps, getting boys to sign up and enlist for the military. These things are good. I think if we want to see a comeback of this sort of positive masculinity that protects and fixes and is actually constructive and good, I think we definitely need more boys back in these types of environments that really challenges them, both physically and emotionally, mentally, intellectually. They need these spaces. So back to my main point, I think the fourth wave of feminism has done a number on both women and men. All of this hard work that the first wave did, creating this sort of healthy balance between women and men, the fourth wave has completely undone it. Women have completely lost their minds. We're commodifying our bodies in order to further enable and embolden an industry that exploits us the most. You have women selling their souls on these online platforms for money, and then you have men who don't know what their soul is at all. And I think it's really up to every man and woman in the country to undo this type of damage and sort of reverse us just enough to where we're back to normal, because right now what we're looking at is utter chaos and the slow destruction of normal society and healthy society. Anyway, that's my little piece. I tried to keep it brief, but I held you a little longer. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, share, and tell me what you think. I'll catch you in the next one.
Before I let you all go, I just wanted to take the opportunity to share with you this passion project of mine that I've been working on now for a couple of months. It is a clothing boutique, the Modest Bombshell brand. I created this boutique for Christian women specifically who want to be both modest but find a hard time buying clothing that is modest but is still stylish and glamorous and beautiful. A lot of the clothing out there that is made for women who want to be modest is frumpy and homey, and I just kind of wanted to undo that a little bit and provide something for women who want to be stylish and modest. So visit themodestbombshell.com and grab yourself something nice.